Oh, hello there, guys. Architecture Talk Time with Sarah Colata. Today I have an exciting guest, Chad Clinehens. Is that right?
Clinehens, yes.
Clinehens. My European accent, excuse me for that.
Yes.
It's a Zweig group, guys, and Chad's mission is to elevate the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. And it's such a beautiful and really meaningful mission. And so I'm excited to have him today to talk a little bit about his work and the training that he does for architects. So Chad is a speaker at the Architect Success Forum, which I am moderating, as well as one of the panels I'm moderating next week. And Chad will be speaking on Friday, 25th of September at 3 p.m. Eastern or 4 p.m. Central Time. And the topic is going to be on marketing and business development. So Chad has an incredible experience in business, recruitment, equality topics for architects. And today I wanted to, get to basically ask some questions about this, but also hear a little bit more about your career, Chad, and how did you come about to really kind of focus and devote your life to this kind of mission?
Well, and thank you, Sarah, for having me on this. So it goes back now 25 years, actually. So I was supposed to be an architect, and somehow I ended up in engineering school. But my love of AEC and really the architecture engineering industry has always been strong since I was a kid. So I spent the first really 15 years of my career in engineering, working in an AE firm, and it was during that time that I really gained a real value for the business side of engineering architecture firms and the importance of marketing and business development and that side of the house. And so I ultimately was led to Zweig Group, which is now a 33-year-old firm, long known brand, earlier known as Zweig White. But Zweig Group's been around for a long time, serving the AEC industry with research, best practices. We have an advisory side. We've got a magazine, tremendous amount of research. We have 2.6 million data points on the industry that we gather each year. So it's a real think tank of knowledge of best practices in running an architecture firm. And so the talk that I'm doing, Elevating Doers Sellers, comes from my experience in marketing and business development, combined with 30 years of the data and the stories from the most successful firms out there. And it has built up to this thing that we call Elevating Doer Sellers. It's had other names before, but it's essentially about how to grow and produce value for your firm.
Excellent. And this is so very important, I think, for every firm owner out there in architecture, specifically because within our education, we don't get such a great push for business and marketing knowledge. So we kind of tend to learn that a bit later on. What is your biggest topic that you cover, or recommendation, or kind of takeaway points that you can share with us in respect of exactly that? So business marketing for architects, the most important things to focus on if one was to want to elevate their practice and knowledge, and also position as a leader in their firm.
Yeah, so for us, and this is again something I'm very passionate about, because the industry overall views marketing and business development in a very small way. And they tend to be siloed off, and really I think everybody needs to think bigger about what growth is and the importance of growth, and really even higher than that, creating value in the firm. And that, it is something that is critical for our survival, right? And that it's something that every person in the organization has a role in. And I think that's the real important takeaway, because again, when we view marketing and business development in a small way, we view it as somebody else's job, and it's just, okay, these people do this over here, and then we've got people who sell. But really, I think everybody in the organization needs to understand that they benefit from a growing enterprise. They benefit from all participating in driving value in the company. And so our business development training is set apart really in that way, that we talk about value creation. We talk about the importance of the employee experience, and that the brand is delivered by the employees, and that everybody has a role in that, and that client experience is enhanced by really thinking bigger about your business, just far beyond, there's people that market, there's people that sell, and then I do the projects, right? And so that's something that we'll really emphasize. The course it's been a 2-day course, it's a 1-day course, and obviously, so I'm going to do about a 1-hour version of it. So it's going to be highly concentrated, but I am going to focus on those things where I just think it's important for people to think differently about marketing and business development, and that they are absolutely critical investments for a firm to make to produce success for everybody, and everybody benefits from that.
Absolutely. It's so very important, and I'm really looking forward to the forum. You mentioned courses and training that you do within the Zweig group, and I'm curious to know a little bit more about it, because the idea of online courses or training altogether in our industry is somehow reserved a lot of times to just kind of practice training to maintain your, your degree and things like that. But business training is so very valid. So tell me a little bit more about who the training is specifically for. Is it for the whole firm? Is it for the firm founder, owner, leader? Is it for the employees? Who is specifically the target audience for this training?
So the business development training, the 1-hour section I'm going to do for the Architecture Success Forum is really, I've always said, hey, it's for way more people than you think, right? Because again, lots of people drive value in a company. The training overall that Zweig Group offers, we pretty much have something for everyone. And I think it's important to note that the business training, the training that we do, also qualifies for continuing education. That's really one of the things that drew me to Zweig Group when I was in practice, because I actually attended my first Zweig Group seminar in the summer of 2012. And it was at that time I was like, wow, I love learning about all of these other aspects of the business, and I'm getting continuing education credits for it. Because as an engineer, I had attended an just endless number of horribly boring technical seminars that I was going to get those continuing education credits. And so this training was fun, it was entertaining, and it was something I was able to take back and immediately implement. So training and learning is a huge part of our business, and it's bigger than ever for us, because our research says that, number one, recruiting and retention is the number one challenge in the industry, and that training and development is now the number one benefit valued by employees. So when we're providing training and development to our employees, we are giving them the number one highest ranked benefit that they care about, above all the things that, used to be in that list of like 401k and other things. It's a very important benefit. So learning for us right now is critical. We're focusing a lot of resources on it, and we have the best slate of seminars we've ever had.
Which is really exciting. And in fact, I will just take that opportunity to remind everybody that at this talk, I don't just want to promote the panel that Chad is on, talking about marketing and business for Architect Success Forum, which is happening September 25th. But guys, a week after that, the Zweig Group has a training program, which is also a seminar. It's also an online event. It happens every year, so it's consecutive. It's called Elevate AEC, and it's a 2 to 3 day in-person event that happens for architects and engineers and construction specialists, and it specifically focuses on training in business marketing, but it's an extended program. And you guys have a special thing that is happening this year, because you're opening your courses for an 8-week length, where people can actually take these courses and learn. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, thank you. So Elevate AEC is an evolved version of what we used to call Hot Firm. So it's a 20+ year conference, and it has really, in the last several years, elevated to and it evolved to match our Elevate the Industry mission. So now it's really more of a gathering of people to improve their businesses, but also talk about how can we improve and advance issues in the industry. Of course, like everybody else, our what was going to be a 3-day event in Denver at the end of this month is now virtual. But what we did is we challenged ourselves to come up with something that we weren't able to do in the in-person. So instead of saying, well, now we can't do it in person, you know, the second best option is virtual, we said, let's provide something virtually that is beyond anything we could ever done in person. So what we did is we stretched this out over 8 weeks, and we're offering access to all of our seminars, unlimited access to all of our seminars. We've never been able to do that before. Plus all of the stuff that was going to be in the original 3-day event, including our Elevate Her Symposium, which is an inaugural event that was going to kick off Elevate AEC this year, which is 5 cohorts who have been working all year on theses, and they are going to present their findings of actual strategies and tactics that firms can use to advance diversity in their firm, gender equity, fighting racism, all of those things, but overall helping the firm with recruiting and retention tactics. In addition, there's 30 plus hours of continuing education you can get. It's like $5,000 plus of training that we're offering for $995. But again, all of that is in pursuit of helping firms, helping individuals, and then ultimately helping elevate the industry.
So you mentioned gender equity and as well as racism and topics like that, which of course play a big role with recruitment and retention of your staff within the firm. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Because obviously the whole world's been shaken up recently with the big movement that's happened around Black Lives Matter. And I think that a lot of practices around the world have really faced that reality of confronting whether they are open and inclusive enough. And this topic became more and more relevant today. And I just think that a lot of people asking questions, they're searching for answers, and you have so much experience about this. So can you share a little bit something to take away from this conversation in that respect?
Certainly. So last year at our Elevate AEC conference, we launched the Elevate Her program, and it was prior to a lot of obviously the stuff that has been happening this year has really made this a much larger topic of conversation. And so we were already on that track. And so it was good that we were already making headway in that. But I think, kind of beyond where you are on the political spectrum, I think everybody's got to understand this is something we have to solve in this industry. Diversity, inclusion, it holds us back in many ways in our business and overall as an industry in recruiting and retention. And we're losing talent to other industries. And that's a huge problem. So we're forecasted to need even more talent than what the schools are graduating. So we've got to figure out a way to really broaden our reach in recruiting new talent for architecture and engineering firms. And this is a key way to solve that. And so I'm really excited about, and I want to just point out that what was originally programmed in our Elevate AEC event and the Elevate Her Symposium, that is free. So you can go to our website and sign up for that free. So all of that training and thought leadership is actually going to be free. It's tremendous because we really want the largest audience to hear the Elevate Her cohorts, the unbelievable lineup of keynote speakers that we've got. We're actually kicking off the summit with Phil Harrison, CEO of Perkins & Will, and Gabrielle Bullock, the Global Director of Diversity and Inclusion. And I'm so excited about their talk. It's going to be unbelievable. We've got a panel from NV5. We've got just a whole lineup over a 5-week period. That's when the Elevate Her Symposium is the first 5 of the 8 weeks. So something very important. Attendees will learn tangible takeaways that they can put into practice. And if we can do anything to advance these very important areas, then we will help solve this diversity issue and the recruiting and retention challenge. It's number one. It's been number one for 4 years. It's going to hold that spot unless we make significant progress.
What is the most important thing that an architect's practice has to take into account when working on strengthening their inclusivity, you know, and yeah, just generally becoming a little bit more gender and you know, race friendly within the office?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. I think we really have to expand our perspective of the importance of this. You've got to get past, some have a mentality of it's a check the box. Well, it's something we need to do, or there's external pressure, so we need to do this. Check the box. That's very dangerous. I think people have got to understand, and they've also got to look beyond, you know, it's beyond political issues too. Where you are on that spectrum, you've just got to rise up way above that and see that it's a critical issue for solving an industry problem. And that industry problem of recruiting and retention is putting pressure on our firms that we feel in a number of ways. And so it's about thinking big about the issue and thinking big about, you know, getting serious about how to solve it. And there's a lot of efforts out there and different groups working on it, but we saw this Elevate Her program and the audience that we could put together as something that, especially because we're going to provide all of their findings as open source material, is something that really will help them on the business side, because that's always been our expertise, right? Mm. So there's a huge business case for it. And when you combine that, you know, to the rest of why this is so important, it really, I think, has a bigger life than what a lot of people see it, you know.
Yeah, because the go-to solution of just recruiting more people of color and LGBT friendly community is not everything. You can still, even though you include that into your recruitment, you can still, if you don't have systems in place within your team, within your office, you can create this outcasted feeling potentially, and it's right. Still, it's not a solution. So it really comes, it's a multi-layered package. And I think it's not just a way of changing your recruitment strategy and opening up more, but also putting in systems in place internally within the office environment to be more inclusive.
Absolutely, that's right on. It is something that has to really be a part of the organization, the organism. It's got to be holistic. It can't just be, well, you know, somebody's talking about it, or we're doing this one thing over here. It's got to be something that really is a part of the organization, the heart of the company.
Exactly. So coming back to the panel that you have at the Architect Success Forum, of course, you know, don't sell us all the gold nuggets that you will be sharing with people, but just wanted to touch a little bit more on the topic of marketing and business for architects. What can architects really expect from your talk?
So first of all, we're going to talk about brand, and we're going to talk about brand in a real big sense and the importance of building a strong brand. And then we're also going to talk about on the business development side, and just to be clear, we separate marketing and sales and business development as different functions that you have to individually invest in and measure return on investment. And those things get real commingled in firms, and people don't exactly understand them. So we're going to provide clarity around that. We're going to talk really about the things you got to do on the marketing side, building a strong brand so you can build a preference with your potential clients for your brand. And then on the business development side, we're really going to talk about the things that hold people, individuals, and firms back. These things like, you know, you've got to be an extrovert to be in business development, or just some of these stereotypes that we have that really hold firms back. And that's something I'm very passionate about, because, you know, we're going to share, like, from our research and from our stories, some of the most successful sellers did this, and this, and this, and this. And these were the attributes they had. And really what it creates in the audiences that we present this to is just a number, you just see a number of like, wow, I hadn't really thought about it like that. And when you can break down those stereotypes and these things that hold us back, then people leave like going, this is really something that the entire company has to be a part of, and understand they have a role, you know, in the business that's beyond just being a project manager or a drafter or, you know, a marketing coordinator. It's all of these people work together for the business.
What is one of those kind of stereotypes as an example?
Well, the biggest one is that you've got to be an extrovert to sell. And I can say that because I'm an
Wow.
introvert. You know, and getting out and cold calling was terrifying for me at the beginning. Uh, but really, again, it was the success I had, and then how I've seen other firms employ some of these things, I think is very important. It's, you know, that you've got to be an extrovert, that you've got to have some well-rehearsed speech that rolls off the tongue. You know, it's really about listening to the client's needs and then figuring out a way of communicating with them how you can solve them. Not, you know, giving them a whole volume of boilerplate marketing material. You know, it's really about listening to clients and then delivering back to them how you can benefit them, and getting beyond the boring statements that we make in our websites, you know, cost-effective, innovative solutions, collaborative, client-focused, blah, 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 blah. Now, yeah, everybody says the same thing. You know,
Yeah.
it's really about proving to the client, you know, something that really sets you apart and something that will benefit them.
So interesting. I mean, I'm an extrovert and I've been terrified of sales most of my life. So there is no rule to that whatsoever. And I think that one thing I've learned in my life is that, yeah, just approaching it from a very human, empathetical perspective. Yeah, based on listening and actually showing that you understand also what a client needs. It really does wonders, and it doesn't feel like a sale.
I
But
could not
it's
agree with you more.
yeah,
Perfectly
exactly.
said. Yeah. Introvert, extrovert, if you listen to the client, that's the key, you know?
Exactly. Absolutely. Before, when we were talking also about your training and your panel, you mentioned return on investment, and you know it's really interesting because in architecture we very rarely think about these kind of measures to measure success of our growth, or set up some you know, some targets to achieve. I kind of feel like the business of architecture, based on a lot of times on referrals, kind of grows organically, and the growth aspect of things is kind of overlooked very often, especially in smaller firms. So what's your outlook on it? I mean, is this really important to measure your success and to drive growth?
It's critical. And I think the reason that, and I'll just say sales management is so weak in AEC is because we don't get any of that training in school. I mean, that really is just something that we don't get. And so I will recognize that measuring marketing return on investment in AEC is more challenging, but it doesn't mean that it's not critical to do and it can't be done. There's so many things we can measure, and then we can just look at how they trend and we can say, hey, are we being more successful or not? You know, is the number of our website hits, we track those every month, the number of incoming leads, the dollar value of contracts won per month. All of these things, if we measure and we say, okay, we're doing these activities, these are the results, how are we doing? And we see the trends up or down, then we're able to make necessary changes to our business and put more investment in the things that are working and change the things that aren't working. But a lot of firms, they don't have the knowledge or the background of doing it, and it is a hard thing, or they, you know, at least it's perceived as being hard, and so we just don't do it at all. And it's just really astounding how little of effort of sales management that we put in this industry. But you know, we have a marketing survey where we collect this data, so people can benchmark themselves on these key performance indicators, you know, if they just take the time to measure it themselves. But we don't hold people accountable for working in the CRM or whatever system that we have. And so if those systems aren't being used, then it is a lot harder to track.
Absolutely. I think that it's very crucial to track your numbers in a business. And yes, I only realized this myself after I got training in business and marketing. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously being trained in architecture, I went into starting my practice only after a year of an internship.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I was a very young founder and I learned all of these things. And until only later that I got the business training, I realized that measuring, I didn't even know what ROI is, actually, return on investment.
Right.
I didn't think of statistics and numbers and these strategies that you can implement. But these kind of practices are so normal in some lines of business, like tech industry, for example, or others. And I think that only when I guess I opened up to these things, I realized that, hey, if we had it more standardized in our industry to measure those results and set up also goals, because that's very much what growth is. You focus on where you want to go within the next half a year to a year or 2 years or 5 years, and you aim there by measuring your results as well. And that's how you grow the business. That's how you recruit more people and things like that. And I feel without that experience beforehand, I was very much moving blindly through this. Like, oh, we picked up a bigger project, we'll need more people, let's hire them. But then the money is not quite matching. And, it's something that you learn through life. And of course, not everybody who listens to that is a beginner at that journey, but many practices, even though developed, still don't practice looking at these numbers and actually keeping track of it and setting up goals. And it's very crucial for any growth of the business.
Absolutely. And what we've seen in the data over the last 3 years, especially, it's really stood out, is that a lot of firms are busy. And when firms get busy, they spend even less time on their own business. It's kind of the saying, the cobbler's kids don't have shoes. And we focus a lot on our clients, and that's very important. The client experience is so critical. But when we get so busy that we're not investing in our own business and our own people, then we're creating a potential, like, if you call it whatever you want, your own internal recession, but you are compromising the performance of the company in the longer term. So what I've been saying is you've got to stay focused on the long term as well as the short term. And I get it. The overworked project managers that are, we see in a lot of our research, it's not necessarily about asking them to work more, but they've got to figure out how to solve it. They've got to recruit, they've got to empower somebody below them. They've got to do something in order to stay focused on the longer term, or they are going to create longer term issues for the firm.
Of course. And to your point, Chad, I think that, architects, engineers, construction people are usually very busy. And I understand the reason why we overlook those things sometimes because of lack of time. But one of the things you can do, guys, today, if you want to put more energy and effort and, attention into it, is just sign up for events like these, because they're there for you to give you some light, some guidance onto the topics that you might want to focus on. And slowly, as you put attention to this, you can tidy up some things in your practice. And it doesn't have to be all done at once. Yes, there is a lot of marketing strategies available to you, a lot of business advice available to you, but you don't have to implement everything at once. But just by being active and learning about business and opening up to all this expertise of people like Chad, who are there for you to help, really, you can implement little changes, and over time that grows and surely contributes to actually profitability and better return on investment, and helping you become more successful.
Right on. Well, I'm excited about both the Architecture Success Forum and our event. Yeah, and I think it's smart to spread them out over, a number of days or weeks where it's only a few hours a day, because let's face it, there's a lot of competition out there with virtual events. Some of them are all day events, multiple days in a row. And I think that's hard for people to attend. And so spreading them out and allowing people just to spend a few hours a day, or, just a few days a week, I think is important, because a lot of events got pushed from the spring to the fall. And so now there's just kind of an avalanche of online opportunities right now. But it's important, I think, for us to really work on the business right now, as 2021 is just ahead. Really it's like, let's work on the business right now and go into 2021 stronger than ever with whatever it hands us, and then come out of this COVID thing, which we will at some point, bigger, better, and stronger.
And on that note, actually, last question to you, Chad. I am very, very interested in this whole concept of digital transformation for the architects industry. Of course, now with COVID, we experienced more and more the need of communicating online, working online, even delivering remote projects. And I think that from this experience, we surely will keep parts of what we developed as a practice over the last few months into the time when we go back to the analog world. What is your outlook on the importance of turning digital and accepting this kind of notion of reality in business, in the way of deliverance of projects, but generally just the usage of tools for architects? Because I feel like architects are a very traditional industry, right? And we like to do things a certain way. But the digital world holds so many opportunities for us, for better education, connectivity, as well as maybe even business opportunities that are new and unexplored yet. And I know that you, with your practice with the Zweig group, you work very much in this training consultancy realm, which can be done virtually, and it's very successful, online courses and all that stuff. So you already have the experience of what it can look like to adapt this digital technology and solutions in a practice.
Well, so it's interesting. So just last night I was writing my Zweig letter article, and I was talking about how this industry was behind other industries pre-COVID in diversity, workplace flexibility, and digitization, right? Those three things. And so my challenge to leaders is, hey, let's make advancements on these things right now, especially in the areas of flexibility and digitization. Those were forced upon us because of COVID. But let's not retract when this is over. And so there will be a tendency for firm leaders to say, okay, we had 8 months or a year of all this work, kind of extraordinary workplace flexibility. Everybody get back in the office, right? Or we upgraded our systems because of COVID, our IT systems because of COVID. Now we can take a little bit of a break. Now is the time to really push the envelope and use this time, which is a hard time. And when we go through hard times, what I call it quantum evolution happens, right? And I think we're in a period of that. And so let's not retract when we get out of this. Let's use this as a springboard to advance not only individual firms, but the industry overall to make headway in that. And I said, hey, there's all this opportunity. And I said, with the diversity conversation, our Elevate Her is conveniently happening right now. But the conversation's very hot in the world too, right? So that's kind of fueling it. Workplace flexibility, let's keep this. We've got it right now. Let's keep some portion of it. And then digitization, the IT. So our research has always shown that firms that invest greater than their peer firms in IT drive the greatest growth in their firms. So the highest performing, highest growth firms are set apart by high investments in IT. And a lot of people find that surprising. And so the conversations I've had since COVID, the firms who had really an extraordinary investment already in a well-prepared IT infrastructure, they were very smoothly went into this, and they've also been the highest performing firms during this time. And I'm telling you, these firms are having record years, even because of COVID, but they were prepared. So I think it's very important for firms to use this time to come out of this higher than their peers. Let's do the hard things now. Let's keep this going and make sure we don't retract.
Absolutely. And, I think that even though this kind of practice came about right now with a global pandemic, which is very unexpected and obviously not overall a good thing, but
right.
The technology and everything is advancing so fast that it might as well become a new reality. Just like Netflix took over blockbusters, there will be practices and technology that will take over the traditional way in which we do business and communicate, right. and a lot of manage really as architects our work and also our teams and things like that. And I just think that adapting to this as it evolves, because it still evolves fast. But if you're kind of staying on top of that game, you'll be evolving with it. And it's I recently had made that comparison that, you know, with Zoom and everything, we're kind of in the era of Walkman, but an iPod and an iPod and soon Android phones and all that technology is coming, and it will arrive. And, you know, we'll look back at the days when we talked through Zoom and think, wow, that was primitive.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yes.
So this is the thing, like, you know, it's not a matter of whether you want to do it or not. It's a matter of when you do it, really, because sooner or later, everybody got those Android phones and no one else uses the Nokia 2310 anymore.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, thank you so very much, Chad, for this amazing conversation. I'm very much looking to forward to your panel. Again, guys, Friday, September 25th, 3 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central Time. Marketing and business development is the topic of the conversation. To tune into that, please go to Architect Success Forum and just sign up for the package, a free package of attendance, or if you want a more VIP experience, you can also pay for your attendance. But Chad, just before we go, do you want to mention also your website for signing up for the Elevate AEC training, as well as just finding, you know, the Zweig group and maybe connecting with you?
Yeah, certainly. So it's zweiggroup.com, Zweig group.com. And on there, you can sign up for our Zweig letter. It used to be a $500 a year subscription. Now it's free. That's a weekly shot of thought leadership. But the event, Elevate AEC, is also, you'll navigate on that because it's actually front and center on the homepage. That's where you can sign up for either the free version, which includes our Elevate Her Symposium, or the paid version, which is access to all of our training. It's an incredible deal. We've never been able to do it. I'm excited about it. It's going to be a long 8 weeks for us, I can assure you, but it's something that's important to us because training and development is something we're passionate about. And we just want to get people charged up as we kind of close out here 2020, which I know a lot of people are going to be looking forward to doing, and making 2021 a great year.
Excellent. Thank you so much for all the efforts in this. And I'm also looking forward, I'll be attending. So looking forward to this. Thank you so much. Guys, I will post the links to all these, as well as the Architect Success Forum and the Zweig group. So you can check it out. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Chad.
Thank you, Sarah.
Take care. All the best.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.